also have a platform, we call it Silent Voices, because I think sometimes, when people are going, say, for example, domestic violence, and they don't want to talk about it, it is us, you and I, to encourage those people to come out and talk about it. My name is Monicah Kariuki, and my superpowers are honesty, humility, and creativity.
Hi, I'm Lisa Wisner, the host of PowerUp Hero, a show about being the hero of your story. PowerUp Hero is all about living a powered up life, because let's face it, living your best life and juggling a busy workload can be close to impossible. I mean, sometimes it can feel like you are climbing an unimaginable mountain and you have to pull superpowers from who knows where to get it all done. And I'm sure you'll agree that this world today needs heroes more than ever before. In fact, being a power-up hero is about providing opportunities where everyone rises up. It's about being a strong, celebrated leader in our community. And this show is all about the stories of people who have been nominated to be power-up heroes. We're going to be talking about the mission they are on and the life that they have built as proud heroes in our community. Our guest today is the founder of Standing in the Gap, a nonprofit organization advocating against domestic violence by creating awareness. She's the CEO of Ekho FM, a diaspora radio station, and she's also a member of a group that I am on, which is a huge group on Facebook, which is called Kwitu, which is Kenyan women in the United States. And I have to tell you, she posts empowering posts. She makes me think, and I absolutely feel like she is a power-up hero in my eyes. I think for me, having this conversation with her will be not only an introduction to a powerful woman in our community, but the fact that she has said out loud that she enjoys having uncomfortable discussions and educating people about being empowered in our community, that just fires me up. So ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to welcome our next guest, who is Monicah Kariuki. So Monicah, welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. What a wonderful introduction that was. Oh my God, I couldn't even say all those things that you said about myself.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to make it very clear that you and I don't know each other. We've never met. We've never talked. And
I'm surprised you even mentioned Kwitu. No, we've never. So I'm hearing Kwitu for the first time. You just mentioned Kwitu. We are in the same group, Kwitu. And I absolutely had no idea.
Wow. That's how big this group is, y'all. But this woman is on Kwitu, just dropping knowledge. And I remember thinking to myself, who on Kwitu needs to be on this thing? And I just thought, this woman, I don't know her. Let me just reach out and see whether she would be interested to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And sometimes I say that a hero is a person who projects their passions and their expertise to the world, and they're not, I don't have to know you to know that you are a hero. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have to get to know you. I can see already that you're living your authentic life. So tell us, what do you do for a living?
So professionally, I am a nurse. And everything else that I do, I just do out of passion. So
wow. And I know, so you do have your own radio show, so you're comfortable talking on the radio.
Yes, yeah. So I started my radio about 2 years, or a little over 2 years ago. I started my radio station because I just wanted to hear those voices that we don't here. I also have a platform, we call it Silent Voices, because I think sometimes, when people are going, say, for example, domestic violence, whatever else at home, and they don't want to talk about it, it is us, you and I, to encourage those people to come out and talk about it. And so, with my nursing knowledge, I started seeing, how mental illness, is part of a lot of us, but we just don't like to talk about it. And that's why I really like to, bring to light all these things that we really don't want to talk about. They're just swept under the rug, and we act like it's normal. where I come from, if you ever mention you're depressed, somebody will tell you, hey, we all have problems, so just, it's okay, keep on going.
Leave it at home.
Right.
So we're both from Kenya, right? So we grew up like that, where if you have issues, you go to your room and you deal with them on your own.
Exactly. So what I wanted was to create that space where we need to feel comfortable to talk about these things. I wanted to create that space where, you're not going to be judged for saying that you're depressed. In fact, on my YouTube channel, I do have a video that I put out, of my own depression after I lost my mother. The more we all keep talking about these things, the more comfortable people that are going through it will feel to come out and know that they're not going to be judged. They're not going to be stigmatized just because they have depression or, because they have mental illness. We will take mental illness just like we look at diabetes, just like we look at hypertension. So why do we see somebody that is depressed as, someone that has, like is really sick, we call them mental, why do we do that? But if we could see that this is depression, you probably need medication. And with depression, sometimes it's not that you have to be on antidepressants for so long. It's just for a short period of time. And once you get over that hump, you may be able to get off your antidepressants. But if we as a community would be able to accept all those people and encourage them, to speak about it, the more all these people will feel comfortable, to trust you, with your when they're at the most vulnerable, time in their life, so that we all can work together.
And you're speaking such truth, because as we're talking through being a hero, hopefully you realize a hero is a person who has gone through challenges and overcome them and is on the other side, and they can see how those challenges is what has made them become stronger. So you just mentioned right now that you went through depression yourself. So you know what it's like to come out on the other side. Can you maybe tell me maybe one challenge that you faced and you came out on the other side that could be a lesson for others to learn?
See, the last 2 years, my mom was really, really sick, and I'm the kind of person that's very private, I'm on social media a lot, but I'm so careful and picky, choosy of what I actually put on social media, and that's because my mother taught us, that it's not everybody in life is happy about what you're doing. That's what my mom used to tell us. And so, I'm so careful as to what I say on social media, as to what I portray out there. And so when my mom was sick, I never posted it on social media to say, oh, pray for my mom. As a family, we went through it by ourselves. At one point, I have, 3 siblings here. At some point, all of us used to travel to Kenya. We would travel like 2-3 times in a year, to go see her. And so the last 2 years was so difficult for me, knowing that my mom was sick. And so on my social media, I kind of dropped. I wasn't posting as much. I wasn't saying as much. But that's because I was going through depression. I have a mother that is so sick, and it's so little that I can do for her. The only time that I can go back to Kenya, to be really impactful in her life, is those few times that I'm able to travel. It's the last time that I actually traveled to Kenya, my mom was put in a public ward. And my mom kept telling these people, put me in a private room. But they were not even putting her in a private room. It took me to fly from here to Kenya. I arrived in Kenya in the hospital about 12 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, my mom was in a private room. But they kept telling her that, oh, we don't have any rooms available. We don't have any rooms available. It's not that they didn't have any rooms available. But sometimes it takes somebody to put their foot down. They had not even started chemo on her. They had not even started, pain medications on her. My mom was in agony. So to see my mom go through that, it was just, I can't even explain the anger, the despair, you feel like, you've reached the end, and it's not so much that you can do. At that point, I did tell the hospital, you're going to start chemo on today, tonight. I don't care where you get your medications. Because if you didn't have the medications, you could have told us you don't have the medications. We get it from Nairobi, or whatever that has to be done to happen needs to happen today. And so I told them, if you don't do that, I am taking her out of here and I'm taking her to Nairobi if that's where the medication is at. So she actually got her chemo that night at midnight. Where did the medicine come from? And so when you travel back because you have a job, and so most of the time it used to be I go for about a month, and then my sister goes for another month, and then another brother of mine goes for, for some time. So that way, there's always somebody there all the time to make sure that she's getting the care that she needs, And so with all that, it was so, I don't know, like it drained me. It really, really drained me. So in December, she actually, she passed away in December. Again, we all, traveled back to Kenya, because she passed away. So when I came back, that's when it all hits you. That's when it all, it becomes so surreal that she's actually gone, So all this time, you knew that it was inevitable. You knew that she was imminent. You knew that she was going to pass away. And you tend to think that you've prepared yourself, but you really haven't. Again, something that I don't share with people is that my mom had given up, and she was just like, you know what, I've fought this for all this time. My children, you have done everything in your power to get me better, and it's not going to happen. And she is the one that said, you know what, enough. I've had it. It's okay. Let me go. So at that point, we all traveled to Kenya again, because she was just like, hey, can somebody from U.S. come? Because there are things I want to tell you guys. And so I saw my mom a day before she passed away. And I count that as a blessing. So when I came back, I kept asking myself, what does it mean to say goodbye? Do you really tell her, okay, Mom, goodbye, where you go, watch over us? Like, what is goodbye? And you get to this point that, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. You get to this point where you even start regretting, as in you didn't spend probably enough time, with your loved one, and you tend not to look at all the good time that you had with this person, because grieving is a process, it goes in stages. And so when you're in that stage, you just get so depressed and you feel like, oh my God, I may have let her down. I may have not been the daughter that she wanted, and you go through all that. And so for me, it got to the point that I felt I've hit the rock bottom. And so I'm in my 40s. So I decided, you know what, I'm probably premenopausal. I was feeling like maybe I'm just premenopausal, so it's probably just my hormones. It's not necessarily that I'm mourning my mom, So I went to my OBGYN, and I told her, all these things that I've been through, it's been like this, it's been like that. I just lost my mom. So, and I think I am premenopausal. I'm actually sweating at night. I said everything that could have been wrong with me. And I told her, I need you to put me on antidepressants. I need you to put me on Cynic so all this can stop, And she said, no, you've been through a lot. I'm not putting you on antidepressants, Monicah. And so she told me, I want you to go back. I want you to do something positive in your life. And then reflect on that positive energy. Capitalize on everything that is positive in your life. And then if that doesn't work, come back and I'll put you on antidepressants. So at that time, some of my friends, I really do have, some of my close friends, I just have great friends, like really supportive. So I have these friends that, are pain in my neck, that will keep on telling me, Monicah, I need you to get back on the radio. Monicah, I need you to start interviewing people again on Facebook. Monicah, I need you to start doing this. But they don't understand. But they don't understand at that time how much depression I have. They don't understand how many nights I'm having to cry myself to sleep. They don't understand how many pills I have to take sometimes, over the counter, just to fall asleep, And I'm not telling them all that, because I feel like it's been months now, and I feel by now I'm supposed to have gotten over it. But who gets over their mother dying?
Nobody.
It takes some time. And I don't care how old she was. She was 78. She is still your mother. She's still my mother.
Yes.
And I don't care how old I am. I still need my mother, And so my the guy that does my videos, he was like, Monicah, it's been a long time since you did a video. I need you to do a video. And I didn't want to do a video. I just was like, now what am I going to talk about? What am I saying? You lack the energy to even energize any other person. You lack the energy to even, motivate any other person because you're not motivated yourself anyway.
Exactly.
So he pushed me until I was like, oh, okay, all right, then I'll do something. Then he asked me, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. You told me to do a video. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So I ended up just talking about, my depression, it's a really short video, but I kind of talked a little bit about myself. And so that's when I felt like, you know what? I think I'm good now. I can now get up and, keep going. I can now start doing videos. I can now start, doing interviews. So I went back to my doctor and, for other tests. And I showed her the video. She was like, come sit next to me. And so I sat next to her. The exam room after all the exam, like seeing everything, So,
yeah.
So she held my hand and she was crying as she was watching the video. So I told her, Dr. Sharma, I am so sorry I did not mention your name on this video because I had not asked you for your permission. She was like, oh no, anytime, just mention, So yeah, that's the most, hump I've ever been.
I love that you documented when you were in the moment, and your video production person was a hero for you, right? Because I'm sure maybe you listen to that video and you think, wow, maybe you were more insightful about your life. Yeah. Do you agree? Maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. At that time is, at your lowest, that's when you can really reflect on your emotions, and that's when you can really be able to put it in perspective for people to actually understand, and that's how I felt at that time, that I was really, really at my lowest. I wasn't even telling my family members that I was feeling this way. I wasn't, because anytime I called my sister, she was crying. When I called my brother, he's just like, but mom, why? So the whole family was going through that, especially, when you have had this sickness for so long, and it's, I don't know, it gets to that point where the pain is so unbearable. And I think that's where I was at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. So did you start your radio show after your mom passed, or did you already have your radio show?
My mom passed away this past December. So it's only been about 6-7 months. Yeah, it just happened, yeah. So,
I'm
it's
so
about
sorry,
7 months
Monicah.
now. Thank you.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. And, I as much as we talk about the challenges and we say the obstacle is the way, sometimes the obstacle, who wants to be in pain? Nobody says, oh, yes, bring it on, you know, make me suffer, make me suffer, you know? No, we don't want that for anyone. And so, and, you know, and even in this day and age, knowing that you're a nurse, you know, and I know, like, you're probably seeing a lot of people who are suffering in this world right now through our pandemic, and you're having to be strong for some people. Sounds like you're being strong for your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, my sister is a nurse also, you know, but it's funny how parents know their children differently, you know. And so anytime there was a problem with, okay, the hospital is not doing this and this and this and that, it's midnight, it's 2 a.m. My dad knew the person to call was me. I'm going to probably make things happen, you know. But, and then when my dad feels, is this medication right for her to take? It was my sister, you know, because that's how he thinks of, you know, she's the calm one. She's going to make sense of this, you know. But if you want somebody to come and, you know, cause things to move.
Action.
Call Monica. So when I want to tell you, when I went to Kenya, my sister was already in Kenya, right? So she went before me. So my sister told me, hey, mom is in so much pain. And, you know, us being nurses, you know, we know that she's passing, you know, and so we were just like, you know, she needs to be on morphine. And so my sister was like, can you imagine the doctor has refused to give her morphine? I'm like, why is the doctor not giving her morphine? So the doctor wanted my mom to stay in the hospital so that morphine can be monitored by the nurses in the hospital. It's just another way of them making money. The hospital at the time she was in, we didn't like the conditions. We didn't like anything about the hospital. So, and my mom did not want to be in the hospital. So again, us being nurses, we were just like, mom wants to go home. She is going to go home. I don't care what y'all say. She's going home. So my sister took mom home. So when I arrived in Nakuru, I'm like, why is she not on morphine? I was told because the doctor refused. Oh, God, I called the governor's office. I called everybody.
And this is the Nakuru governor.
Yes. Yeah. So I called everybody and their mother, you're going to give me morphine. And she's not going back to the hospital, but I need morphine. It happened.
I love it. You almost called the president.
To me, it doesn't matter who I'm going to call. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what door I have to know.
You sound like the most powerful hero that somebody needs to have in their back pocket. You know when somebody says, hey, I'm glad so-and-so is on my team, you know?
Yeah.
You sound like that kind of a woman. It's always amazing to have women who are strong on your team because they get things done. And I love how your dad has figured it out. You know, he knows his children. And he's like, okay, when I need somebody, this is the one I go to. When I need it done, this is the one I go to. I love it. And I love how you shared about your family. It's just amazing. So I was just thinking through, like, when somebody is a hero, we talk about everyone being a hero in their own right. You know, everyone can be a hero. But do you think being a hero is something that's luck? A recognized hero, right? A celebrated hero. Is it lucky, or do you have to work at it?
Honestly, in this life, I don't believe in anything luck. But I think, you know, to become a hero, which I really do not see myself as a hero, you know, but it's usually it's a conviction you have and the urge to do something, you know, and it just comes from within. And when you are doing something that people start to recognize that you are actually doing something positive in the community or whatever, you know, that's when you're just like, you know what, I think I'm doing something good. And also, too, I so much believe in God, you know, that whenever you do things good for other people, whenever you put other people's needs before yours, I do believe so much that God honors that, you know. And I also believe in, you know, humble and innocent prayers. For the last 7 years or so, I have been feeding children of Rwanda, where I come from. And every time those children pray for me, my mom used to tell me, whenever you see things happen for you, I want you to remember that it's because we're praying for you. It's probably something you didn't even put in a prayer, but it's because you prayed for it. And these children, these innocent children, they are praying for you. So I do believe it's that conviction, and then just God blessing you to make it happen.
Wow, that's amazing. So, knowing that we're both from Kenya, let's be even more specific. How are you supporting these children in, you said Rwanda, in Rwanda, or where did you say it was?
No, so I come from Nakuru, right? And Nakuru, there's an estate called Rwanda, or Rwanda.
Rwanda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rwanda is really it's a really, really poor neighborhood. That's where I grew up. And this is what made me who I am, because it's not necessarily that we were poor, but how we ended up there is a totally different story for another day. But I want to say God put us there, And so I grew up seeing children walk without shoes. I grew up seeing women being beaten all the time, and sometimes some of these fights, the only time they would stop is if my mom came out. Other people would try to stop it and they wouldn't stop. But whenever they saw my mom, everybody would run, would scatter. And so growing up, seeing that in my own primary school where I grew up, at one point it was just me and my last born brother that had shoes on. And so, whenever I went to school, I remember my third born brother, when he got his first job, he bought me this pair of shoes. It was black and had a stripe of white. And I was suspended from school. So my mom came to school, and so she was asking the headmaster, so you sent her home because of the shoe that she's wearing. What is your uniform? As in, your children don't have shoes. So what is your uniform? And so they didn't know what to tell my mom. And, that they just had to agree and let me wear my shoe. It just had one single stripe of white. That's it. But the rest of the kids really didn't have shoes, So for me to grow up looking and seeing social and economic disparities, that's what makes me be who I am, because I never enjoyed seeing people go hungry. I remember there's a guy that was so drunk all the time. And he would, so Rwanda, they used to sell changa and busa, locally brewed, alcohol. Yes. And so he would pass by our house. Not that we knew this guy, not that my mom knew this guy, but for some reason he came, and my mom used to feed him every time. And while he was out there, he would be like, cussing people out. Say, as soon as he gets to our house, he would stop, come home, he eats, and he goes. So, and then he disappeared for so long. And then the next time, we're just sitting at home, and then at the gate, this SUV comes. And it's this guy and his mom. This guy, at that time, he's all cleaned up. I'm sure he had gone through detox and all that, He actually came from a very wealthy family. So he now had brought his mom and told his mom, come, let me show you who used to feed me. And so he came and introduced his mother to my mom. And I think that's where, my love for helping people comes from, looking and seeing all these, disparities in life, and knowing that there are other people that are better. And when you have a neighbor that is going to bed hungry, and you're full on that day, and you can't even think about your neighbor. I just find that to be so inhumane. I find that as human beings, we are supposed to empathize with other people. We are supposed to feel their shoes, try to feel their shoes and see how they feel, and so that's why I'm so passionate about what I do.
Monicah, you're over here just pulling me into your humanity. Can we just say it right there? Because these last few words you said are about understanding that we're all here to live together as humans, and the human life is precious. So first of all, can we just honor the fact that it seems like your mom lived a heroic life? I just wish that everybody listening can understand that this woman was a builder, was building up the community she lived in. I mean, the fact that people are arguing and she shows up and they stop, she makes people wake up to their senses. I mean, come on. And then you are a product of her. And it seems like your family sees you as that person as well, fully expressed version of your mom, okay? And I feel like in this day and age where we may have some situations in our recent events that have sparked anger and fear in people, people may have forgotten that we are just human beings trying to exist in this difficult life, because life is difficult, period, right? Nobody can say even the richest person has issues. Nobody's perfect. And so the fact that you here in the United States, you're remembering where you came from. And I want to hear from you how we can help support your neighborhood, because it sounds like you have some program set up and maybe we can help give into that so that you can have more help for the children there. But I think, for me, it seems like you being a PowerUp hero may even be about you creating a brighter and better future for us tomorrow. Do you see that as your path in this world?
I do and absolutely want to create a better future for tomorrow. And that's why, I talk about these uncomfortable topics, because if we don't talk about it, the only way we are going to make a child that was born yesterday feel or be better than a child that is already there today is by the time this child is growing up to be 10, he finds that we have normalized domestic violence as an issue that has to be discussed. We have normalized mental illness as an issue that we are not afraid to talk about, and we are not going to be labeled as we are sick, with mental illness. Once we can do that and speak comfortably about these issues and make sure that all these people are able to come out and tell us, their issues, then we are going to see suicide go down. We're going to see cases of domestic violence go down, because if you look at some of the cases of majority of the cases of domestic violence, and this is one thing that when I started talking about it, people were not talking about it. I included mental illness. And that's because like some of the videos I was seeing, who in their right mind sets anybody on fire? They don't. So for somebody to have thought to set somebody on fire, it's most likely because they have mental illness, and some of these people, it's probably they haven't had money for so long. They haven't had something as simple as food. It's not so difficult to actually solve some of these issues, because if it's just food, we can give people food and probably solve that problem, but I don't look at handouts. I look at solving issues in a long-term goal. For example, here in the U.S., I'm working on, you mentioned Quitu. There's a lot of fundraisings that I usually do because someone has gone through domestic violence and stuff like that. And so when I started doing domestic violence, I told myself the last thing I ever want to do is raise funds. You will never see me raising funds anywhere. I've used my own money to do everything that I have done. To feed children in Kenya, I use my own money. Unless people close to me, when they hear that, oh, Monicah is feeding people, they say, people send me $100. I've had 2 events right now, and I will tell you, when I have those events, people give me $1,000. People give me $500. Do the event. These are anonymous donors, but I don't go out there to even ask these people for that money. So I probably would say that I have that favor from God, and so what I'm looking at is to, in the future, have these systems in place so that even in the Kenyan community, we can minimize the amount of harambes and fundraisers that we do, and that's what I'm looking into in the next however long. So that's what I'm working on.
And you know what? So you kind of bring me to an important point, because one of the things that I've always struggled with is, that saying of give a man a fish and you feed them for a day, teach them how to fish and you feed them for a lifetime. Right. And I've always thought that about Kenya and any disadvantaged community. When people come and they give a fundraising and they say, oh, here, you're suffering, here is money, take care of yourself. You've taught that person to expect a handout. And what have you taught them? You've taught them to sit back and wait versus you got to move, teaching them the way to be able to support themselves, right? And maybe that's the way we need to think about the support. Instead of thinking about creating fundraisers where people are just thinking about, how can you give me more money so that I can do the thing I need to do? It's more of, you're going to do the thing you need to do it, but I can help you make it better. Does that make sense? Like, if you're going to do something, learn how to do it, and I'll make it better with you.
Right. Yeah, so I usually, in the U.S., I'm looking at, for example, if someone is making $10 an hour and they have 3 children, that person is going to tell you that it's so difficult for me to leave my husband. I have 3 kids. I cannot pay all my bills, and I cannot be able to feed all my children, with the job that I have. But if I can put these people in a program to where you go through the program, you get a better job, and you're able to feed your children. Now that woman is going to be able to say, you know what, if you can make me independent, then I really do not need to be going through what I go through right now because it is painful. And that's what I'm working on. So I have pastors of mega churches, and again, this just goes to show you how God favors, when you're doing the right thing. This is a phone call that came to me, and I was told, Monicah, you are needed in a meeting tomorrow. I'm like, what, tomorrow? I live in Dallas, and that time I was working in Paris, Texas. It's about 2 hours drive. It was such a productive meeting, and what was amazing about that meeting, what I took out of there is that don't try to reinvent the wheel. See, Liz, you have this, you're nominating heroes and things like that. This is a great platform. I shouldn't try to go and start reinventing your wheel. Me as a woman, I'm supposed to empower you. I'm supposed to support you in what you're doing. And then other people, if you think I'm doing a good job with domestic violence, support me, And then somebody else probably has a nonprofit organization to where they can give people food. Yeah, so I'm doing domestic violence. You're able to give food. So I'm going to get in touch with you so you can give this person food. Maybe somebody else has a shelter. I'm supposed to get involved with that person so that person can give shelter. And that is how all of us as a community, we can actually form a circle that is exactly. And that's how we all can work together, so that I can feed from you, you feed from me, I feed from the other person. And then somebody benefits from all of us.
Yes, and together we are stronger and we go further, right?
Exactly.
You can't do it alone. Can you imagine? There's only 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
There's no way you're going to figure out mental health,
Yes.
And then find shelter and food.
Right.
And then you can give them a voice, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
There's no way.
You can absolutely not do it by yourself. You can absolutely not do it by yourself. No way.
Yeah. And can I mention something that I've already interviewed probably 5 people before you, and every single person has told me about mental health. And it's not that was their profession or anything. It just came up as I was depressed, such and such happened. Such and such happened, this has happened. And knowing that you are a nurse, and you brought it up too, I kind of feel like that's not my strength. I didn't do any health sciences. I did computer science, so I know how to code. I can fix your computer. But for me, I remember going to counselors, you go to a counselor when things are not going good, and they see things in a different way. And so for me, I think when we're talking about creating a support system for each other, we all have to capitalize on our strengths.
Exactly.
And so it's important to realize who is strong in something. Seems like you're getting strong in understanding domestic violence and community engagement, knowing how to connect the dots for people. And that's not my space. So when I need that, like I'm already thinking of how I need your help in so many areas. I need to connect you with the areas where I need help. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
where I've been thrown into
absolutely.
something where I'm like, I have no idea. They think I know what I'm doing, and I have no idea. This is Monica's lane, And I think that's how people need to maybe see things, right? When somebody pulls you into something that's not your lane, don't try to do it. You probably know somebody who that's their lane, and they can go with you in that lane, yeah?
Exactly.
That's fantastic, Monicah. Okay, so let's kind of, talk through a few things about your future, I want you to imagine yourself 5 to 10 years from now. What do you see?
5 to 10 years from now. I used to think about a political career.
Wow!
I've thought about the political career so much, and I haven't ruled that out yet. When my mom was alive, every time I told her that I'm going to, get involved in politics, she would tell me, "Oh God, they will kill you," because I'm very vocal, and so I'm envisioning myself in the next 5 or maybe 10 years to be really, really politically involved. Whether it is going to be me running for office, or whether it is going to be something. I'm going to be there somewhere,
Are you talking about here in U.S. or in Kenya?
I think I don't necessarily want to run in the U.S. I'm friends with a few U.S. politicians, but I don't want to run here. But because I think U.S. already has a system, that where the system is really broken, and I feel I can be more impactful is Kenya. And that is why I usually think about running in Kenya, whether I'm going to be in office or being a lobbyist, that I'm going to be somewhere. I'm just going to have a loud mouth somewhere. Yeah.
I love it. You're going to be a joke about it. You're going to be a loud mouth somewhere. Your loud mouth will make an impact, right? It'll be somewhere because politics is tough. You're putting yourself out there.
Of course.
And a lot of people don't want to, right? They want to stay quiet and be seen in the background. But here you are saying, yes, I have something to say, and I want to tell you how I think we could do things better, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm already seeing, like, your ads, right? You know how people say, vote for me, and there's an ad where they're posed like this. I am your president. Monicah Kariuki. First woman president in Kenya. I spoke it now.
Yeah.
So let's think through your presidential campaign. As you're going through your campaign.
Oh, no. Not presidential.
I've already told you you're going to be president. But anyways, as we're going through maybe your governorship, right? Let's think through, your competitors, right? So your opponents are probably going to bring up some not so strong strengths that you have, right? So maybe your bottom strengths, we don't want to call them weaknesses. What do you think those are? As a hero, we have to be aware of what our kryptonite is. What do you think your kryptonite is?
I'm very emotional. It's terrible.
And now you're laughing about it. It's almost like you can see yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, Monicah.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, sometimes it takes somebody saying something so small, you know, and I analyze it and internalize that, you know, and I start beating myself up, you know, and I become so hard on myself, you know, I scrutinize everything that I do, you know, and I think I am the worst critic of myself. That is not good, you know. So yeah, I think that's the worst, and that's my weakness. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but I'm not saying that so that somebody out there can take advantage of that.
You know, can I just tell you that being emotional is being human? You know, I think at the end of the day, all we are is energy. And when something happens that pulls your energy into a feeling of either feeling like crying or not feeling confident or just being ruffled. You know, when somebody can say something and then you feel that lump in your throat, like, what is going on right now, right?
Yeah.
Just to be strong in the moment, you know? And that, you know what? I know what you're talking about, girl. And it's almost like, I think what it is when you live an authentic life with passion and you're doing the very best you can, and then something doesn't work out, you take it seriously, you know? You're not messing around. It seems like you're not a mess around kind of person. You're taking the work you're doing seriously. And so it's a strength. I see it as a strength. So whoever is coming for you, let them come with your emotions, because the tears is a strength for me. The emotions is a strength, and I think it's the path. Because in this day and age, I think having courage and having strength to be able to show your authentic self is not a weakness, it's a strength. So, wow, I can't believe you said that one of your weaknesses is a strength. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Well, at least in my eyes, it's a strength. So I truly believe that's what we need. We need more emotional people who are feeling it. And I think in this day and age, we may have people who are just being political, to not even put it into quotes, but to say that they're just being who they need to be versus being human. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I vote for a human. I think sometimes I want to put a sign that says, you know, vote for the human. Don't vote for the person on a platform. Vote for the human, because the human will react in favor of everyone, not in favor of themselves. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're human. You're human.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
So how can people get in touch with you, Monicah?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is actually via Facebook. And on Facebook, I am just Monicah Kariuki. I think I just made it easier for people to, you know, and my Facebook is public, so it's easy to, you know, to find me on Facebook. So if people can get on Facebook and, of course, you know, on YouTube, I am Monicah Kariuki with silent voices. You know, people can get in touch with me there as well.
Fantastic. Now, Monicah Kariuki, you're Kikuyu, right?
I am. Okay.
No, what are you?
It's okay.
Even though I think I've forgotten mine a little bit, so I may be using you as an excuse to just remember my Kikuyu.
I think I actually learned more Kikuyu when I came to America.
You did? Hiya.
Yes. Yes.
They make fun of me when I'm talking at home. My mom, I can hear the silence when my mom is laughing. I can hear it. I can hear her laughing. She's not laughing. No, the Katwari, Hanini, Negana, I've forgotten. You see, I can't even say the word forgotten in Kikuyu. But why is it important for us to speak our native language? And taking Kikuyu, I don't even know why I'm not speaking Kikuyu when I'm saying that.
I won't say that my Kikuyu is perfect, you know. But here's the thing. So my son really are standard 1. Okay, Nazare Gimutwara private school. And then a private school mera wo madihari abereka nidaini kuina. My son does not like publicity ever since he was little. So Gemoruta Nazare Gimutwara a public school. So at standard 1, you know, Shenari Mara Giria cool and how to speak it. Or you use the simplest words. Right? So this is called greens. Gemura ishine nyeni. So we used to call greens nyeni. So damuraga nyeni mushere, you know, and so ave shukurure akuga dareda wikirizo nyeni. So akuga I don't want nyeni. Unfortunately, it was an African American woman serving. So motumio shake mori asiri dahu. So from there, my son Oka Moshere, Awara, do not speak to me in your language.
Your language.
Yes, so it became my language. He has nothing to do with that language. That's your language, and keep it. It's your language.
My goodness.
But negera ya komo foodi vya Korea tumete. Nedemo tuaraka Kenya a lot. Now, in fact, my son Avi Moshe, they say go di wito tauni edaga go di masha bayi. So, because all Qatar life is the same as the US, you know. So, okay, so data only go kate atiga modo arive swimming rate, you know, na derave in a swimming pool ta US, but that the masha bayi, derave go swim in a river. So, for us to go keep our language and our culture, never could dia shana she kure shumite. You know, so as much as, you know, Shiana Shito Shiti Kamen Yagekoyo, as much as we're away, you know, the few words that you know, Shiana Shiti Gaming, all that. He actually understands. My son is 20 now. He actually understands Kikuyu, you know, Tutigemo Shukana Gekoyo, you know, but they will tell A20, Nyaking to that point, Yako appreciate Korea to meet. If you go back on my Facebook and look at videos, when my mom came last year, is it last year but one? Yeah, last year but one. So my mom, Arageria Kuga, how her trip was to America. And so I explained it to my son, you know, and my son is just laughing because my son is just like, you know, so Mami Arageria Nage Koya, and my son is supposed to understand it. So the reason why my son appreciates Gekoyo, ni todo at least niahotaga kuigua urema miarauga, and sometimes dahuradimo. My dad speaks good English. Niahotaga communicate na my dad. So shana shito shieni no marege kulangi koyo, but trust me, when they grow up, ni mabageli yako appreciate Gikoyo. Kana ni mabageli yako appreciate, you know, Korea kumete. So we cannot be embarrassed and we cannot completely walk away from who we are. You know, it is our identity and it is their identity. And I am so proud of Gikoyo.
Then let me tell you how sad I am sometimes, because living here, it's hard. It's hard to teach your children the language because you're not speaking it every day. And I don't remember, I can't even talk. I was taught Kikuyu. I can't remember. All I know is that I'm forgetting it because I'm not speaking it. So it's sad for me. Now, but we also speak Swahili, right, in Kenya. So I think sometimes in December, I actually do classes. I don't know if you do the same thing in Dallas, but when we have Kwanzaa, they always call on me to come and explain Kwanzaa. Do you experience that?
No, I don't. So.
Well, you know, but I have to tell you, like, I feel a little embarrassed that I'm not even able to speak more Kikuyu than I was speaking. So if my mom is listening, I'm sorry, Mommy. We have to talk
but if your mom talks to you in Kikuyu, do you understand?
Even you, I understand you. It's not, the words are just not connected.
You may not be able to speak it, but as long as you understand, and then you can answer in Swahili or English or whatever, I think that's okay. It's like my son.
Yeah.
He may be able to understand. He actually understands. My son was born here, but he understands most of it. He won't be able to answer in Kikuyu or Swahili. He will answer in English, but at least he understands. So I think it's important for our kids. But just so you feel better, I have never been this mother that insists that my children have to know or learn Kikuyu or Swahili. They live here. You know, I mean, it's okay for them to learn our culture, but these children live here and this is their home. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, I don't remember being forced to learn Kikuyu and Swahili. It just came. No. So
it just
we weren't ever forced. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Neguo. I will practice more and get for my for my mom, for everybody.
That's good. That's good.
That I'm learning. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. This show today was amazing. I got to hear from Monicah, and not only did we have an amazing show, we got to celebrate the language of our ancestry. We spoke a little bit of Kikuyu. So if you speak Kikuyu, you will enjoy this show. If you want to find out more about the Power Up Hero we just interviewed, go to the podcast page, which is poweruphero.org. And if you want to tell us your story, visit poweruphero.org. We want you on the show. We want to hear about your positive attitude and your commitment to being a hero in the community. Again, the website is poweruphero.org. And I am so excited that you're here with us on this journey. The fact that you're listening right now, it means that you've listened to the end of the show. So I'm giving you a high five right now and a hug and everything you can imagine in this COVID situation. We're doing it virtually because I want you to power up your life and I want you to live your life to the fullest potential. So once again, my name is Lisa Wisner. Be sure to subscribe to the Power Up Hero podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, everywhere and anywhere that you tune into your podcast. I hope you are educated, inspired, and encouraged to be a Power Up hero. Make it a Powered Up day.
Since 2010, PowerUp.org has been dedicated to giving the gift of education by ensuring that all children, especially those at risk of being left behind, have the resources and the opportunities they need to grow up healthy and live productive lives. We want to remind listeners that the information provided in this show is strictly for informational purposes and is not intended as a substitute for advice from a professional. Some content contains discussions of traumatic health experiences. If you need support at any time, please call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK or text HOME to 741-741. During this time of social distancing and self-quarantine, we hope that listening to heroic stories and optimizing ideas can help us feel more connected to each other. Our mission of eliminating technology poverty through education is fulfilled by you. We reach over 5,000 students each year, and we are able to reach more because of your help. Teaching technology and life skills is a game changer for our future. And by listening to this show, you are helping us continue to fund our work with students, educators, and community partners around the globe. Visit powerup.org to find out how you are helping bridge the digital divide. From all of us, we hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy.